The first thing I want to talk to you about is the different publishers, because I get that question a lot. Which book should I order? Which publisher? Is there one better than the other? So I'm going to share with you what my thoughts are regarding the advantages, disadvantages of each one, and then you can just make your own, draw your own conclusion as to which one you like the best. All of them work, so all of them work for the class, all of them work for the 3-day class, all of them work for the at-home study, and all of them work for the exams. So that is just going to come down to student preference. All right, so let's get going. I will start with the one right in front of me. The one right in front of me is actually written by the AMA, great publisher. The AMA are the people that also wrote and published the CPT Professional, which is the book that, it's actually the only book that's allowed right now by the certification exam organizations. It's got to be the CPT by the AMA. So as far as the ICD-10 and Hickspicks go, they can be any publishers, as long as, I think, because their policies are always changing, it's best to check with them, if a certain publisher is allowed. But right now, for sure, the ones that are in front of me, I know all of them are approved. All right, and that's by all the credentialing organizations out there. All right, so starting with this Icd-10-Cm book, I wanted to, I think one of the most important points in a book is definitely the font size. And I like the AMA font size. It's not small, it's not as big as I want it to be, but it's not small either, so it works. Another thing I like about the AMA publisher is that there's a lot of white inside the pages, and I'm just a type of person that likes to do my own, likes to add my own colors and highlighting. And as you can see, their book has a lot of white. Some of the words are typed in a green or a red or maybe even a blue font, but for the most part it really allows for you to throw in your own colors for color coding purposes. So I like that it's a very bold type print book, so it's not lightly, the words on it are actually visible because they're bolded a lot, so I like that a lot. The guidelines are in the front, as well as throughout the book, which is also a great point. It does come with this flappy flap little thing here, and that gets on my nerves. So I always cut mine out, whenever I get a book every year. Or I either cut it out or I tuck it in, to where it stays tucked in all the time, because other than that, it's going to get in your way. It's going to be covering, your tabs. And I'm about to show you how to tab your books. So, great book all the way around. It does offer illustrations of the body systems at the very back. I'll show you here. Nice and colorful illustrations here at the back, so that's good too. Great book all the way around. It's a great book. I really believe, and I'm going to say this a lot, I really think that every publisher on my desk would be really smart move for them to make is to put it on a spine versus having to use these big spirals. And I'll show you one that I've seen a book as big as this, and it's not on a spiral, which tells us, right away that there's a way to get it on a spine and not a spiral. The ones that are on the spiral tend to wibble wobble, and it's just not, very comfortable, very convenient. So there goes your AMA. I'm trying to rush through this part fast because I want to get to the point, and I want to get to teaching you how to tab, so it'll be a bit time consuming. So here's the AMA for you. The next book I have for you is a AAPC publisher. And same thing with this one. I just wish that they would put it on a spine. That would be wonderful. Very convenient and comfortable for the person using it. And I don't mean to like be negative Nelly up to any publishers, but in my opinion, it's just very light font, very lightly printed a lot, and most definitely the font is way too small. So I hope they don't get upset with me by saying that, but it's the truth, and I am giving a very honest, you know, video here on my feedback in terms of, you know, comparing the publishers. I do like that they also use red and green blue type font. That helps visually, makes things jump out at you a lot easier. And then, but again, their font all throughout the book is very lightly printed, and it's very small. So lots of difficulty with this book in the classroom. A lot of the students who are over 30, 35, they tend to have a hard time seeing, you know, the font on this book. But it's very well written, very well organized. It does have some illustrations as well. Let me find those because I want you all to see them. Let's see. And I wouldn't be struggling to find things if I had it tabbed, which is going to, you know, say a lot to the tabbing system. I'm going to show you here in a bit. But here's their illustrations of the different body systems. Very helpful for board exams. Excuse me. Let's see. I like that they colored the edges of their pages. Nice and different colors. So you got a mauve, a pink, a yellow, a gold, a green, a blue. So very, very nice that they did that on the edges of their pages. But as you can see, I'm struggling. It's very wibbly wobbly and just not very comfortable to the person using it. But again, that's every publisher except for the one that I'll show you here in a bit. They also included some tabs in their book. I've never seen that before. I don't think they've ever done that before. But again, if I could just be honest, and I'm sorry if I upset the publishers, the font is way too small on these tabbies. It's hard to see. It's all one color, and it's very, very the tab quality is very thin, so not my favorite in terms of tab font size and quality. But hey, at least they went a step up and did that, because a lot of publishers don't even give you tabs at all. Nothing is going to beat the Medical Coding Academy tabbing system. Of course, when I show it to you here in a bit, you're just going to, you know, freak out that it's amazing. So, but at least they did that. So I gotta give them applause for that. That's the AAPC publisher. All right, next we have Carol Buck. How about Carol Buck? So this book here is, honestly, I'm just going to put it out there. It is the most preferred book by every student I've ever come across. If they've ever used one publisher and then flipped to Carol Buck, or use Carol Buck and then flip to another publisher, you know, either way it goes, they always want Carol Buck. They're unhappy unless it's Carol Buck. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Miss Buck herself was very, very strategic in that she color-coded a lot in her book. I prefer personally, but I'm different little, you know, type of person. I'm kind of peculiar. I prefer less color in my book because I like to use my own colors. But if you like colors, which most people do, you know, you don't want to have to do it yourself. You want it to come like that for you. Then I believe that this book probably takes the cake. Most especially because it's not just my opinion, but every student I've ever come across. I don't know a single student that didn't, you know, prefer Carol Buck when given the choice. Okay, so anyway, I'll show you the inside of her her book. Here is the alphabetical index, very smart that she placed the main terms in red, the subterms all in black. Very, very smart. I like the fact that her tabular section as well is very colored, different colors of edges here, blue, red, green, you name it. Very nice. And as you can see, I opened up to the table of, what is it, the table of drugs or the external causes? No, this is the neoplasm. Okay, this is the neoplasm table, but, you know, neoplasm table or table of drugs, it doesn't matter. Her tables look like this, and they are amazing. You know, this is very, very, you don't find, you know, another book that looks like this in terms of the tables. The tables are very difficult to use and get around and get through, and she made it so much easier by color coding her actual tables. So good job there again, Miss Buck. And you know what, now that I showed you that, let me take you back to the table, the table that the AMA used. And as you can see, very big difference you know, from Carol Buck to the AMA, a lot smaller font, although bolded, still smaller. And then definitely you know, the color, there's just not much color here, and it's kind of hard to navigate. The same thing with AAPC, their table of drugs. Again, having difficulty because it's not tabbed, but let me get through here. Here's a table, and this is their table of drugs. And same thing here, you know, it's got the table, but again, you know, it's very, very small font. Some words are bolded, so good there, but very, very small and no color. So, you know, you can see the difference is obvious between the Carol Buck and the AMA, AAPC. Carol Buck's tabular looks very colorful, printed words and in color, highlighted words in color. And then her index has the red terms. I believe she also has beautiful, colorful illustrations, as I will show you here. Here we go. And here's some illustrations of the Carol Buck book. So wonderful, wonderful. I just think that this book all around is pretty darn, you know, number one takes the ribbon, you know, except for the fact that it would be even better if she put it on a spine. And I know, again, I know it's possible to put it on a spine because of the last publisher that I have in front of me is going to be the PMIC, P-M-I-C, I call it PMIC for short. And although this book is kind of flat in color, not as vibrant as the others, you can say the same thing for the inside of the book as well, because when you go inside, very black and white, not very much color at all. Here we go. They did place symbols that are very, very easy to see because there's so much less what do you call colors. You can really see the symbols really jump out at you. By the way, this is my favorite publisher, my favorite. I got a lot of people do not agree with me, but I'm just a little peculiar. And although it's my favorite for a couple of items, number one, it's on a spine, so a lot easier to. It's a lot. So sorry. Number one, it is on a spine, so it is much, much easier to navigate and just comfortable to the user. It's also, my number two reason for liking it so much is that the guidelines in the front, you know, and all the guidelines are in the front of every publisher that I've seen here, but, you know, these guidelines are just incredible in terms of the font size. I mean, just big font. I know there's not any color, but they're big font and you can see it just wonderful. That said, let me not show you the Carol Buck guidelines. Hers was wonderfully made too. I have to give credit where credit is due. Let me find that for you. Okay, here we go. This is a sample, as you can see me struggling with spiral, a sample of the guidelines, and very large print and very easy to read. So love some Carol Buck here on her guidelines. Very easy to highlight and handwrite any keynotes that you'd like to, you know, place inside the guidelines there for you. The guidelines at the AMA book are, again, small, although bolded, smaller, but also nice and black and white to where you can throw in your highlighter colors to make keynotes. And the same thing with AAPC. I'm sorry, I'm struggling with coughing. Excuse me so much. The same thing with AAPC. The guidelines nice and white so that you can throw color in and make your book comfortable for you, but again, very, very small, tiny print for those of us that have a harder time with maybe our vision. Anyway, I wanted to come back to PMIC and show you the inside of their book. And very black and white, as you can see, very, a few colors are jumping on eBay. That's because they use very few colors, allowing you more room to throw in your own color, which again, you know, goes back to why it's my favorite publisher. Now, the downside of this book, there's only one thing I would change about this book, and again, we're talking about Mr. Tega, so not everybody agrees with me, but if I could just have my druthers my way, they would go through their tabular, and they would place the codes in the upper right running corners of their pages. So in other words, usually all the other publishers, they go and place the range of codes in the upper right corner here, and that way when you flip the corners you can see what the numbers are, what numbers are you're looking at. And all the other publishers do that, but PMIC does not. PMIC has been for years, what they're big on is placing these little indentions here where you basically stick your thumb in and get to that section rather quickly. But it's still I've been using this book for years, it's still not good enough to do that. I'm sorry. And I've talked to PMIC before, and I maybe if I get the right person on the phone I can get something to change on that. But if they would just do that, that would just be amazing for this publisher here. Anyway, so now that we're done going through the different publishers, I want to show you all the amazing tabbing system that we are now distributing all throughout the globe. Everyone who uses it, who uses it one time, falls in love with it, and they cannot and will not code without them ever again. Like for the rest of their lives, they must have this tabbing system, and that's to be understood and respected because it is that glorious. When you order the tabbing system from Medical Coding Academy, it comes in this really shiny clear wrapper, nice and protected. So is the packaging that it comes in, even more protection. You would receive it and basically open the one side of it, pull out the tabbing system, and you will see the front cover is just nice and lovely to look at. Most people probably will end up chunking it because it's not very important beyond that. But then behind that you will see, let me see, yeah, you will see the tabbing system made up of many different tabs. I've shown these tabs on different videos before, but what I've never gone and done is I've never gone a step further and actually show you how to place these tabs into your actual books. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick my books right now, and I'm going to tab my set for this new year of 2019, and then I will show you how it's done and also what the end product looks like. So this is probably the part where we're going to fast forward, and that way you don't have to sit through all the slow tabbing. Oh, I forgot to show you all, in that clear wrapper you do find an instructional page. Looks like this, anyway, it really is helpful in terms of giving you a visual on how the tabs are supposed to look. But I want to get started. When you receive the tabbing system, it is going to one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to handwrite what you see up in the subject title down onto your tab. And I'm not crazy about my handwriting. To be a teacher, I sure don't have very nice handwriting. I don't know how that happened. But that's what you want to do when you first receive your tab is place the words on your actual tabs and get them ready to place on the books. Okay, I've done that. That's real easy and fast. And what we're going to do is we're going to get, I'm going to use the PMIC, my favorite publisher of all time. And what we're going to do is we're going to start place, it says on the template exactly where, to place the tabs, which is awesome. And I won't show you that part because you can figure it out and it's too time consuming. So let me just place the tabs. And I'm using the template to tell me what page it actually goes on. Actually, I'm not using the template to tell me that because I have it memorized, but I've been doing this for years. By the way, I am the creator of this tabbing system. I created it years and years and years ago. When I first was given the ICD-10 book in class, I was like, you know, this is huge, and how am I supposed to get around this puppy, you know, without, you know, quickly anyway, because I am needing to find my important areas, and I'm struggling. So I kind of went home, and I just, you know, I have a lot of common sense, and very highly organized person. So I just thought, you know, what's the best way to do this? And anyway, I made this up years and years ago, and I did it to my books everywhere I worked. I had my new book set, and I brought them, you know, completely tabbed, and I drive my coworkers crazy, like, oh my gosh, how did you learn to do that? And I'm like, well, I kind of made it up. And so, you know, everybody began to just kind of say, can you do it for me? Can I pay you? You know, and it just kind of the light bulb went off in my mind. You know what? Let me just create a tabbing system and make it available. And one day, when I went into the field of being an actual instructor, I started to teach my students, and it just kind of took off from there. And you know, everybody's been hunky-dory ever since. Everybody loves it. For a little while, I don't know if you all knew this about me, but for a little while I worked for one of the huge credentialing organizations, and I traveled around. They flew me everywhere, all around the country, to teach ICD-10. And I remember I spoke to, you know, my trainer, the trainer that, you know, there was a trainer that trained the teachers on, you know, how to break down ICD-10, the new system that was coming on board. And excuse me. And I'll never forget, I had flown into, I believe, New Jersey, or no, it was Rhode Island. And it was, she had told me, you know, I'm calling to see if you're okay. Tomorrow's your big day, and you know, you're gonna go up and teach a bunch of coders that are already coders. They're not newbies. They're very established. They work at hospitals and facilities, and they're just coming in to get a quick, you know, 2-day breakdown on ICD-10. So, listen, we know that, you know, you're rather young. You're at least she thought I was young. She's like, you're rather young, and you're small, and you know, they're gonna, if you got to go in there like really bulldog, and you know, because they're gonna chew you, they're gonna eat you alive, you know. And it's funny, when she was giving me that advice, I was like, lady, you must not know that I've been teaching for a really long time, and nobody eats me alive. But anyway, she was cute, and she was just worried. So I and I know myself, and I know how much the attendees would have appreciated. We're going to appreciate, I should say, you know, that fact that I would bring them the tabbing system. So without the permission of the organization that I was teaching for, I do me. And, you know, you can tell me what to do to a certain extent, but then from then on, I take over, and I use my common sense, and I do my things my way. And, so I got up there, and I passed out to every single attendee, you know, the tabbing system, and they were ecstatic. They were like, what on earth? I've been coding 10, 15, 20 years, and I've never ever thought about doing this. And the way you did it was, so, you know, if there was gonna be a moment for them to eat me up and spit me out, you know, it never happened, because I won them over immediately with the tabbing system. And you know, from there they began to order it, and you know, so forth and so forth. And that's how the tabbing system came to be so big. Okay, so I want to show you how exactly I did this. As you can see, I've gone and placed the tabs on the ICD-10 book. Hope you can see this okay. It's always hard to show it on a video, but this is it here. And this is what the side looks like. That's kind of where you have that book opened. I'm sorry, closed, and side view. And then this is the top view. And I will show you what I did. So the first thing that we did was we went and placed section 1.A tabby. section 1.A tab. If I could just hold this, I swear these books are heavier than me. All right, okay, so section 1.A tab is here, and that's because it flows with section 1.A title found here. The title of section 1.A is called Conventions for the ICD-10-CM. So if you'll look here, A, turn the page, look to find section 1.B, B. You're just going to place your tabs down per the pages that the templates lead you to place them on. But for me, since I was winging it, I just, you know, free-handed it, and I know where these tabs go. So I look to see that B is there, so I place a B. I look to see that section 1.C title is here, so I place the C, section 1.C. Notice how the tabs always go on the right side of the book, never the left. That's very, very important. If you want these tabs to fall like piano keys, they have to remain on the right side only. So if something shows up here, you place it right across here. And the same thing with section 4. Here is the section 4 title. Where are you? Did I put it in the wrong place? That was there. Let me see. Section 3, section 4. So here, you know, let me see. Yeah, I did put it on the wrong place. I put it on the page right behind it. So section 4 is here, meaning you would place the tab here, right across. Very nice and convenient, making it easy and making it fast to get there. And then from here we have a netter tab. Place that on the page that the illustrations begin to show up of the human body. All right, the very first page is netter. And then you move to the neoplasm table, the drugs table, and the index table. Place those tabs on the very first page of all those tables. Beyond that, we have our alphabetical index tab with your A through Z tabs. This is where you turn here, and you've got your alphabetical index line here, and A through Z here. A through Z. Hope you can see that okay. And place the A down on the very first time you see a medical condition that begins with an A here. Turn the page, go on, keep turning until you get to the B's. When you find the conditions that start with the B, place the B there. Same thing with C. You don't have to go look at all these, you don't have to go looking, because you'll have the templates and you'll be going off the templates. The templates tell you exactly what page number. So it's much easier for you all than you think. And then, so A through Z, it's very important that you place these A through Z tabs without overlapping the other tabby. What I do, a little trick I'll show y'all, is that I always, when I place the A down, I always place the B right up underneath. I shove it. I shove the white part that on top of the B tabby. There's a little bit of white part, right? So they got a little bit of a white. This is the tabby itself, the B, and then a little bit of white. So I always shove that little top part of the letter, in this case the B, up underneath the little white part of the A at the bottom. And I keep shoving and I keep shoving all the way down, and that way, excuse me, and that way the tabs. I'm so sorry. This cough won't let me be. That way the tabs will fall up underneath the other tabs and lay down like piano keys. Nothing overlaps the others. You know, one tab does not overlap the other at all, and that is very, very important. So make sure that you're super strict about that, because the idea is that you look at this tabbing system and you can see everything at one glance. Nothing overlaps the other. That'll slow you down if you have overlapping. The alphabetical index in this particular publisher put their index at the back. All the other publishers has their index in the front. But this one for some reason puts it in the back. So that's why we're way back here at the back in this particular book. The numbers, we have 21 chapters in the ICD-10-CM, and for that reason, every time we come to the tabular portion of the book, this is where the codes actually show up at. you know, the numbers, weight 1 through 21. Chapter 1 is going to have the chapter 1 infectious and parasitic diseases, conditions in this chapter. Chapter 2, and so forth, all the way down to 21. You place the tab on the very first page of the actual chapter. And then the last part of the tabbing system for this Icd-10-Cm anyway, is definitely going to be the tabs across the top. As you can see here, you've got 1 through 21 tabs across the top here, and that's every chapter has its own set of guidelines. And so to get to the guidelines super duper quick, I place the tabs across here. And I mean, this is just genius, guys. No one I have ever met knew to do this. No one, I always taught it to everyone, and it's just genius because we need to be fast in the class and fast on the board exam at finding our codes and our guidelines. The templates will tell you exactly where to place these 21 guidelines tabbies at the top. It's really difficult to know where to place them without the, you know, page template telling you what pages, because they're very, very challenging there in the front, especially the guidelines. Let's see what else. And then I was going to tell you all, yeah, we've now made it available to everyone to purchase. We couldn't do that earlier, a few years back. We're barely able to do that right now because it takes forever to get something patented and copyrighted, and we had to wait all this time to be able to make it available, the tabbing system available to the actual public. And so now we're set there, and so we're good to go. So definitely get your hands on the tabbing system, the Medical Coding Academy tabbing system. There is no tabbing system out there, none that I know of. No one competes with us. That you can't compete where you can't compare where you can't compete. I know that the AMA placed some tabs in the front of their Cpt book. Let me show you. Okay, let me show that to you. As a matter of fact, because when you become, when you register for the course and when you register for the at-home study, whichever you do, the 3-day or the at-home study, whichever you decide, you're going to need to place the tabs exactly like I have taught in this video. And I didn't write the words because I hate my handwriting, and I'm just going to get my niece to do it for me. But you know, you will place the tabs according to where the templates are leading you, and then you will what was I going to say? Oh, that this particular book came up with, they offered their own tabs. They've been doing that for like probably 2-3 years now. However, they don't, I'm sorry, AMA, don't get mad, but they don't compete. The tabs don't compete at all. I can't even lift it here. Let's see. They're very flimsy, very thin, and our tabs are very, very thick, very sturdy. They're not going to bend or curl over. So you're going to love that. I mean, that's huge for them not to bend and curl like that. I mean, ultimately they could, I guess, if you really, you know, took advantage of these poor books, but, you know, they're going to hold their own weight. So, I'm telling you all, as my students, do not use these tabs throughout your books. Please use ours, and most definitely place them the way I've taught you, because you're going to get really frustrated in the class that all of us are able to go somewhere very quickly and you're not, and you're struggling because you didn't do exactly as I instructed. So make sure you do that exactly the way we've said in the templates. So once again, do not use these. They're nice and colorful, but they're not going to work. They don't have, the typing on them is not the way I need it to be at all. So so definitely go with what how we tell you to do it. So this is the Cpt book, and you've got your 7 tabbies up top, and you'll know what that means when you take the class. You've got your major tabs down the side, your 6 sections, your modifiers, your category codes are here in the back, and then you've got your A through Z tabs. They also place their index in the very back. They always have this in all the years I've ever known coding, so that's not anything different. But that's the Cpt book, and make sure that when you place these tabs, the A through Z tabs, once again, no letters overlap the other. They're all nice and viewable, and you can see them all like piano keys. Not a problem. All right, then we move on to the Hickspicks book. The Hickspicks book is this one here. At least I'm sticking with the set here. So this is PMIC again. And you know, you got your 6 tabs up front, your major tabs. Once again, I didn't write on them because I don't like my handwriting. But then we went and placed the tabs, I should say, where the codes show up, you know, your A through V tabs there. This is not, they don't use every single letter in the alphabet, so you won't use necessarily every single tab of the letter, every single letter of the alphabet on this tab. If I could just get my thoughts straight. Okay, so other than that, I wanted to show you the kind of the end result on how the tabbing system looks. I think I was showing y'all this book and one of the tabs had slid down. So anyway, here it is, nice and beautiful. There it is, your ICD-10. There's your side. Wonderful. And I'm going to now CPT. Awesome. And then Hickspicks. Very good. Okay. And I will now stand these up best I can anyway. It's hard on this video. Here's your 3 books kind of scrunched together so you can kind of get an idea of what they all look like in totality at the end of the day. And I will try to pick them up a little bit. And here's kind of a side view of the 3 books completely tabbed. This has 199 tabs for this tabbing system, and it does take several hours to complete that. But it is worth it, and if you do it with a lot of tender love and care, a lot of love, and do it slowly and very organized, you'll end up with 3 amazingly usefully tabbed books, and you can't live without it. Like you'll get so addicted to this organized type of tabbing that you'll refuse to code without it anymore. So we have our students that are returning for years and years now. Let's say they were our students, you know, in 2012. They've come back every single year and purchased the tabbing system. We were able to sell it to our own students all these years. We just couldn't sell it to the public until it got federally registered and so forth. So we're all good now, and we can do it now. So it's available for you guys to purchase on the website. One of the best investments you'll ever make, and you'll love it.